For the people. That's basically the only thing. I'm a bridge between the citizens of Shreveport and the city administration. I'm to be informed, and if I'm not informed, to get someone that is informed so I can be there for our citizens. That would be my primary role. Well, to be honest, I don't have a $488 million budget in my household, but I do control our household income, our bills, how much we can spend monthly, what we have left over that we can, I guess, play with. But that's my experience with budgeting, and I think if you can budget on that level and make sure you don't have any waste, fraud, or anything like that, it's just a common concept that you can balance a larger budget. Well, first and foremost, our infrastructure is aged. It is aging as we speak. We've got to get that under control, especially if we want new businesses to come here. We have really got to look at our budget and see what we can and cannot do. Our main focus, especially in District B, is downtown. We got to revitalize downtown, bring businesses in here, maybe more loft apartments for residents. But that's something that we need to sit down as a city council, as a mayor, and figure out what needs to be done and focus on that. My main thing with infrastructure is if we can take one or two areas that are bad, that are just really bad, we can sink all of our money for infrastructure into those two areas first, and then the next year have two more areas that we can fix. And it'll take time, but I think if we do it that way, we can bring everything up to where it needs to be. We should play a huge role. We should be allowed to go out and bring businesses back to Shreveport if we need to, especially if we don't have an economic development office in City Hall. We need people that are motivated to go out and bring businesses here and get them to stay here. Now, I don't think by any means we're going to have a large company swoop in here and save Shreveport. But I think if we all work together, especially City Hall and the mayor administration, and maybe get an economic development office in City Hall where we have people that can help, we can bring our small businesses in, and that's important. Well, you have to have city council people with integrity. And the fact that someone would steal public funds from any charity, that's just unfathomable to me. But we do need restrictions on where maybe the city council or CADDO commission, the person that sits on the board, does not control the funding. And nor does any of their family members, because I know that's a big problem is they get the funding and then they put somebody in their family in charge of it. We have to step away from that. We have to show that we are above board. We have no corruption in our city for people to come here and invest here. I mean, who's going to invest here with CADDO commissioners and city council people getting indicted and going to jail? No one. You know, so we have to, as city officials, we may have to step away from that role and put someone else in charge of our nonprofits. Again, we have to be above board. We have to do our due diligence. We have to make sure that the people that we put in certain positions can work those positions. Right now, for example, we have a current police chief that I feel like was not put in the right role. We need to look at that. If we don't have the right people in the right role, we're going to fail, and we can't afford to fail. So we will have to sit down and go through people's records and see what they've done and what they haven't done, what works and doesn't work. We're going to have to reevaluate everything we've done from here back to make sure that we can move forward. If we work together, we have to get into that mindset that if we want to improve our city, we have to come together. Citizens have to come together. Administrations have to come together. We all have to communicate with each other. We're all in the same ship here. Shreveport is not doing as well as it has in the past. We all see that. We're all on the same boat here. And I think if we can talk to each other and collaborate with each other and make it understood that if you're elected to office or you're appointed to an office, part of your role is to collaborate with the entire administration, whether it be CADDO Parish, the city of Shreveport, even Bossier. You know, what happens here does have a ripple effect, and we really have to learn to work together. And I feel like that's something that the current administration has failed on. So, I mean, it's just something that it's common sense to me. If you want to be an elected official, you have to know how to work with each other. Even if you don't agree with everything, you can always find common ground somewhere. Crime. Crime is our biggest issue right now. To me, it's a three-pronged process. Again, we have to get a police chief in there that can allocate the officers that we need for the times that we need them. Whether it be a Shreveport police officer that's worked his way up through the ranks or an outside police chief that has worked his way up through the ranks at another police department. We need to get a stronger DA in office that will be harder on violent crime. I've talked to police officers again and again, and they tell me all the time that they're arresting the same people. They're all repeat offenders. You know, we've got to stop that. To me, out of those three, the most important one is the last one. We've got to get to our young people. So many of our young people grow up in communities where that's all they see is crime, crime, crime. And we've got to show them that there's something better out there, that they can be entrepreneurs, that they can go to college, that they can write their own story without having to turn to crime. And that's being a mother. That's the most important part. If we can start early enough with our youth, we can stop all this nonsense. The old Shreveport. I am an avid historian. We have one of the best histories, and to see how far it has come down is heartbreaking. We have crime, we have some property standard issues, and we have economic development. We, as the city council, have to sit and discuss what resources we can allocate to certain issues, and those are the three main ones. Is we've got to get our crime under control, we've got to make our city beautiful again, and we've got to get jobs in here for our citizens. And I think if we get the right city council and the right mayor that is willing to do those things, we can turn everything around. I truly believe that. I was brought up, my mother, my real mother died when I was 3, and her parents raised me, and I was 3, so they were probably in their 40s when they took me. And my grandfather always said that your word is your bond. That if you shook somebody's hand and gave somebody your word, you had to do whatever you could do to keep it. So I really don't know. That's always kind of stayed with me. I'm sure if elected to city council, I will be tested on that, but I don't know if I've ever I've been tested like that before, because I've always had that in the back of my mind, that if I told somebody I was going to do something, I better do it. So. I don't know if there's anything I really want to address, except Shreveport needs change. I know there is a lot of people on the ballot that are not, so to speak, politicians, and I think that's what our city needs. People that are not in it for themselves, not in it to line their pockets, but people that generally care about our citizens. And I've met a lot of great people out there that are willing to sacrifice time with their families, you know, time with friends, to go to events and meet people and show that there are people out here in Shreveport that really care. And I think that's the main thing I want to get across to the citizens of Shreveport, that we care. You know, I'm not a politician, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and if anybody can work from city council to mayor, it's somebody that can break up a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old fight, you know. But we just need people in office that generally care, you know, that aren't using this as a stepping stone for a political career. We just really want Shreveport to come back.